You're listening to How to 20-something, the best podcast that helps both men and women navigate their 20s and learn how to adult across all aspects of their lives. We're going to focus on career, relationships, finances, fitness, nutrition, and all of the common challenges and obstacles a typical 20-something will face in this post-college life. I'm your host, Jess Diamond, and I am the CEO and founder of Jess Diamond Coaching, where I help young professionals get their shit together, gain their confidence, and own their life. No one prepares you for this adulting world, so allow me to help you feel like you are no longer a chicken running around with its head cut off, and that you actually know what the hell is going on and what your next step to take is. Welcome to How to 20-something. Welcome back to another episode of How to 20-something, where today's episode is all about your network. And before you skip this episode, hear me out. Because I'm like you, I also don't love networking. But I do love having good conversations, and technically, those are one and the same, if you do them properly. And you and I both know that in order to get anywhere in this life, you have to know people who then know people, which requires you to get a little uncomfortable so you can go meet new people who know other new people. So this episode is to help you around your relationship to networking and leaving your comfort zone. I'm going to talk about why every fiber in your being is screaming at you to stay home, or from even sending a connection request on LinkedIn, what staying comfortable is costing you, and then, of course, helping you redefine your own version of networking while breaking down the stigmas you've built up in your mind. Because recently, I've had conversations with some 20-somethings who are looking for a full-time job. Either they have a part-time one right now and want more money and independence, or lost their job and are back in the job search. Regardless, they're all in the same situation of wanting a full-time job and have the same resistance towards meeting strangers. Now, I know I've made episodes on this topic already, so you can definitely go back and listen to them. But this one is a little different as it pertains to your circle of influence and your comfort zone. When I was talking to these 20-somethings, I told them exactly what I tell you. You're wasting your time applying online when you need to be connecting with people in the industry or company you're interested in. And the easiest way to do so is through LinkedIn. Send the connection request and then send the message. And every time I say this, I get the same reaction. Probably the one you just gave too. You roll your eyes, let out a grunt, and say, you don't want to. That is uncomfortable. And it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but it's one very easy way to meet new people and expand your network. You just have to bypass the discomfort so you don't miss out on very important connections, which looks like overcoming your fears and resistance towards even pressing the little connect button, let alone sending a message or, God forbid, going somewhere in person. So let's start with those fears and resistance that comes with the word networking. Honestly, even I shudder at the thought of going to a networking event, shaking hands with people, having very surface level interactions, and exchanging business cards that just pile up in a pocket somewhere and never actually get used. But what if you went to a networking event and the conversations went beneath the surface? That no one exchanged business cards and relationships actually got developed further each time you returned, where you got to know the person, not what they do. Sounds fake, but it exists. It's how the networking group I'm in operates. It's called Network in Action. You just have to go out into the world and find the networking group that's going to work for you. And in order for you to do so and expand your circle of who you know, we do need to tackle these pesky little fears that come up. The first one being the fear of rejection. This one is going to show up any and every time you put yourself out there, because putting yourself out there comes with that very real risk of someone or multiple someones not liking you. Even when it's something as simple as sending a connection request on LinkedIn, you're putting yourself out there with zero guarantee of anything coming back, so your brain interprets that unknown and vulnerability as a threat. Because what if they think you're weird for reaching out? or they don't accept the request or never respond. So instead of risking that kind of no, you just don't send anything, period. Same thing goes for showing up somewhere in person. But when you don't take any action, you are writing yourself out of the opportunity to meet someone and advance your career. You are essentially answering no for the person on the other end so they don't have to, which also means you're robbing them of the chance to say yes. The second fear is that you're going to come across as a burden or as someone who only reaches out when they want something. This is something I personally battle with, especially now that I've been applying to stages and know the best way to get on a good stage is to go through the people who have already spoken there. Someone who can vouch for me and send me in the right direction is going to help me get on those stages. And I hate asking people for help when I don't have anything to offer in return. So in those moments, I have to remind myself that, let's say someone in 5 years asked me for help with how I got started. I would be more than happy to extend a hand and point them in the right direction and not expect anything in return. I wouldn't think it was burdening of them to ask, or needy, or someone who only takes and never gives. Now, don't get me wrong, I love an even exchange of I do this for you, you do this for me, but a lot of times, especially when you're just getting started in this world, that is not the case. So one way I like to overcome that resistance of asking for help is by reversing the roles. And then the other thing I like to remind myself and my clients of is when you go to ask someone for help, you're complimenting their experience and recognizing them as a thought leader, which is extremely flattering. The other side of this coin, that is not necessarily a fear and is more of resistance, is the basis of this entire episode, and that is leaving your comfort zone. Your existing circle is familiar, easier, and therefore safe. Staying in it doesn't require anything from you. You know these people. You don't have to have any awkward exchanges or silences or surface level conversations. And if your inner circle is working for you, then that's great. But there does come a point where you exhaust all of your resources within them. They can only open so many doors and know so many people. This is true for entrepreneurs, where your first few clients are from people you already know. This is true for landing a job, where the people in your existing network can only get you so many other offers or opportunities. The reality here is the doors you actually might need are being held open by the people you have not met yet. And yes, it might require you to meet some terrible people along the way, feel like all the efforts you're putting into getting out there are a waste of time, and you're hitting dead end after dead end. Trust me, I get it. I feel like I'm showing up in the world constantly, and yet online clients still feel so hard to come by. Speaking opportunities seem so out of reach. And it's because I need to keep going into new circles. And it's exhausting because of everything I just mentioned. The fear of being rejected, seeming salesy, being needy or a burden, being a waste of time. I don't come up with these episodes just because someone else is encountering this problem. It's also because I personally have to constantly work to overcome my own thoughts telling me to just stay comfortable when it comes to my network. And I'll be the first one to tell you that staying comfortable gets you absolutely nowhere if you're trying to go somewhere. And somewhere means there is some part of your life that is itching for something more or something new, which, if you're listening to a growth-minded self-help podcast, this one right now that you are actively listening to, then I know for a fact that you want to improve at least some part of your life, whether you're waiting to feel ready to make moves or not. So while you're going back and forth and tiptoeing the line of comfort and discomfort, let me talk to you about the cost of staying comfortable. Because it might not feel like a cost in the moment. No, in the moment, you're going to feel relief, avoiding unnecessary stress, and like the world is warm with sunshine and rainbows and butterflies. Your comfort zone is your happy place. So all of that is going to be true. And it isn't until you have the wave of discouragement do you realize what you're doing to stay safe is not helping you in the slightest. Because people aren't going to find you sitting in your existing circle or at home. I used to joke with an old therapist of mine that it is possible for my future husband to find me by accidentally knocking on my apartment door because my old apartment complex had 3 buildings. So I got the wrong mail all the time with there being 3 different 315s. So who's to say someone wasn't trying to find their best friend's apartment and stumbled across mine by mistake? That never happened, but the probability wasn't 0, just really, really low. And that's the same probability of staying in your circle. Opportunities like job offers, collaborations, introductions, mentorships, clients, sales, everything is going to come from you showing up in the world. It's the event you almost didn't go to, the message you almost didn't send, the connection request you almost didn't hit. Almost is the most expensive word in networking and building relationships. Remember, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So every time you almost do something and don't, you're costing yourself your future. And every time you almost didn't do something and did, you're moving yourself forward, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. Another cost of staying comfortable is your confidence. The more you stay comfortable, the less you're going to feel confident because the discomfort you're avoiding is only going to get bigger and scarier the longer you resist it. Think about it. Every time you talk yourself out of going somewhere or doing something like sending a connection request, you are simultaneously feeling that sense of relief while also reinforcing the story that you can't do it. And the more often that story gets repeated, the harder it's going to be to actually go do something when you finally reach your tipping point. Versus pushing through the discomfort, doing the thing anyways, even if nothing comes of it, helps you build your own evidence that you are someone who can show up. Even when you don't want to, even when it's hard. You think I like meeting new people, extending invitations, making plans? Fuck no. But I do it anyways. And I make new friends, build new connections, expand my network. Sometimes it's a one-off. Sometimes it's a friendship, a client partnership, or simply a good conversation. Regardless, I've built up the proof time and time again that I can do it even when every part of me is screaming, just stay home. Become a hermit. Don't do it. You are so much better off in the long run when you take any kind of action instead of convincing yourself it's okay to take 0 action. So now that I've stressed the importance of getting uncomfortable and everything you'll miss out on by staying in your comfort zone, let me help you make this whole networking and building connections thing less terrible. And this has been discussed in previous episodes, but it's around the word networking. Networking, the word itself, is overused. It sounds forced, corporate, transactional, and just straight up exhausting and unappealing. So anytime someone mentions the word networking, it's like a forbidden word or a curse word. You immediately go into shutdown mode or let out a big yawn because you're bored. I wish I could eradicate the word entirely. But the truth is, you have been quote unquote networking your entire life. You just didn't call it that. Every friend you've made, professor you had a good relationship with, coworker you grabbed lunch with or vented to, date you went on, follow-up text you sent, all of that was networking. The only difference was that it felt natural because there was no agenda attached to it, which is harder to transfer over into your professional life, especially when you are wanting something like a job or, for me, a stage to speak on. So right now, what if we invited a sense of curiosity to your repertoire? Instead of going into a connection thinking about what they can do for you, what if you only went in with the goal to express interest in the other person? What are they working on? How did they get to where they are? what do they wish they had known earlier? Not whether or not they can help you. The other part of this whole making connections thing to help you leave your comfort zone is by reminding you that networking doesn't have to only be through a forced event or even a networking group. It can be small and still count, like sending a meme on Instagram, commenting on a LinkedIn post, following up with someone based on what they said when you guys did talk. None of that requires a bold gesture or is asking anything of the other person. All it requires is for you to show up, remind people you exist, and be supportive. And that is how a real, genuine network gets built, which is so much better than a one-off event and way less scary. So for right now, how about you start with somebody you've already met? Warm up your connection muscles before reaching out to cold strangers on LinkedIn or blindly walking into a room full of people you don't know yet. And that means look at your existing network and try to find the people you're underutilizing. Whether that's old professors, former coworkers, someone you went to school with, family friends, and just shoot them a message. Tell them what you're working on and looking for and ask if they would be open to a quick conversation. That conversational topic would vary depending on who it is you're reaching out to and their relation to you. For example, if it's an old professor, they have experience in the industry you're in, so you can ask them about their first job out of school and what it was like. If it's an old coworker, ask them what company they're at and how they're liking it. Old classmate would be asking how they got their job, what they think they did differently to land their position. You don't need the perfect script or a perfect question. For right now, just work on reaching out, having human contacts. The next thing is if you do not want to be the one sending the LinkedIn requests, then you need to make yourself searchable. That means changing the header on your profile to what people would search for in terms of that title, like how I have life and nutrition coach for 20-somethings and speaker in there, amongst other things. And then post and use hashtags relevant to the industry you're wanting to be in. People will find you and send connections. All you have to do is determine if you want to accept them or not. And then when you're ready, send your own connections. Follow companies you want to work for. Leave comments on posts of the people you admire. That all can be done from the comfort of your home while slowly leaving your comfort zone through online interactions. Thirdly, find a group you can consistently show up to. It doesn't have to be literally a networking group, but I'm also on a kickball team. I've done an improv class. I go to run club. That's all networking. Either week after week or month after month, but something where it is consistent in time, place, and frequency so you can give yourself the chance to deepen your connections. And lastly, follow up. That's going to be the most important part. If you meet someone in the wild, send them a LinkedIn request and say it was nice meeting them. Ask for a coffee meetup or to go walking. You have to nurture your connections. Find the tactics that are going to feel the least slimy and grimy and more like you, but don't rely on the feeling of comfort to start making moves or by putting the ball in the other person's court to make the first move, because that is not how it's going to work to move you forward. So, to bring it all together, the connections you are missing out on by staying comfortable is not just the people. It's the opportunities, the doors, the conversations that could completely change the direction of your career and your life. And know that being uncomfortable never gets easier. The feeling of discomfort just becomes more familiar and less threatening. You just have to keep showing up in small ways and consistently. And of course, get out of your own way and thoughts telling you not to do the things you know you need to do. So get out there. Go meet new people. It doesn't have to be through some cheesy networking group to do so. On that note, this does conclude another episode of How to 20-something. If you liked what you heard, learned something new, or know someone who needs to hear this little nudge, then please share this episode. Post it to your story, send it to someone you know. Just do something to help me reach all of the 20-somethings in this world navigating the most confusing decade of their life. And as always, I can't wait to be in your headphones again next week with another brand new episode.